The night was silent, except for the soft hum of wind passing through the old mountain observatory. Elias, a quiet human engineer, was fixing a broken antenna on the roof. The stars above were bright, thousands of them scattered like silver dust. He loved nights like this, peaceful, distant, untouched by war or politics. But that peace ended with a sound, a scream that didn't belong to the mountains. It came from the valley below, sharp and echoing through the rocks. Elias froze, tools still in his hand. For a moment he thought it might be an animal, but then came another sound, a voice, weak and human-like. He climbed down quickly, grabbing his flashlight and jacket. The valley was cold, filled with mist and stones. He moved carefully, following the voice until his light caught something shining on the ground. A woman lay there half covered in torn silver cloth. Her skin glowed faintly under the moonlight, not like pale skin, more like light trapped beneath glass. Her eyes were closed, her breathing shallow. Elias knelt beside her. "Hey, can you hear me?" She opened her eyes. For a second they were blue. Then, just as he blinked, they turned silver. She tried to speak but only whispered, "Don't touch the bandage." Her voice was soft but filled with fear. Elias noticed a strip of cloth wrapped around her neck, stained with some kind of golden liquid that shimmered faintly. "You're hurt," he said. "I can help." "No," she gasped. "If you see what's underneath, you'll never sleep again." Elias paused. He didn't understand. She didn't look dangerous, just scared. The night wind picked up, carrying a strange hum, low, mechanical, almost like engines from far above. He looked up and saw faint red lights moving slowly across the sky. "They're searching for me," she whispered. He frowned. "Who?" She tried to sit up but couldn't. "You must hide me. Please." Elias looked at her trembling hands. Something about her didn't make sense. The way her skin shimmered, the faint vibration in the air around her. But her fear was real. And in that moment, he stopped questioning. He lifted her gently, wrapping his jacket around her thin frame. She was lighter than she looked, almost weightless. As he carried her back toward the observatory, he felt the air buzz, like static before lightning. Inside, he laid her on an old cot near the furnace. The room was warm but quiet. She watched him with wide, uncertain eyes. "You're safe here," he said, lighting a small fire. "No one comes up this mountain." She stared into the flames, her voice barely audible. "No one should. My kind will find me soon. If they find you too." She didn't finish the sentence. Elias sat beside her, his curiosity growing stronger. "Who are your kind?" Her gaze turned toward the window where stars shone like tiny eyes. "You call us stars," she said softly. "But we are not what you think." Her words made no sense, yet the honesty in her tone made him listen. He didn't press further. She was exhausted, shaking, her glow fading with every breath. He covered her with a blanket. "Rest. We'll talk when you're better." As she closed her eyes, Elias walked to the window. The sky was now full of movement, faint streaks of red light sweeping across the horizon, searching. A soft hum came from her direction. When he turned, he saw her sleeping face, peaceful but not human. Small patterns of light ran across her skin like constellations. Elias whispered to himself, "What are you?" From outside, thunder rolled, not from clouds, but from engines high above the clouds. Somewhere in the dark, metallic wings cut through the night sky. Elias knew deep inside that this woman, this stranger under the moonlight, was not from Earth, and yet for reasons he couldn't explain, he didn't feel fear. Only a strange pull in his chest, the kind you feel when destiny knocks, softly but with purpose. The night turned colder as dawn began to rise behind the jagged peaks. Elias sat near the fire, staring at the woman he had rescued. She slept quietly, though sometimes her body shimmered like glass catching sunlight. Each time the glow faded again, leaving her looking human, almost. When she suddenly gasped awake, Elias almost dropped his coffee mug. Her eyes shone bright silver for a second before turning back to blue. She looked frightened, not of him, but of something outside. "They're close," she whispered. Elias listened. At first he heard nothing. Then came the faintest hum, deep, rhythmic, mechanical. It was like engines in the distance, hidden behind clouds. He walked to the window. The early morning sky was pale gray, but beyond the mountains streaks of red light flickered, search beams. "Who are they?" he asked quietly. Her lips trembled. "Hunters. They came for me." Elias frowned. "Hunters? From where? You mean the government?" She shook her head slowly. "No, not your world." That silence that followed was heavy. He could almost feel the truth pressing between them. She wasn't just different. She was something else entirely. She tried to stand but stumbled. Elias caught her before she fell. Her skin felt warm, yet a faint vibration pulsed under his touch, like soft electricity. "You shouldn't help me," she whispered, breathing fast. "If they find me here, they'll destroy everything around." "I've lived alone up here for 5 years," Elias said calmly. "Not much left to destroy." Her eyes met his, frightened but confused by his calmness. "Why are you not afraid of me?" He smiled a little. "You haven't given me a reason to be." Something in her expression softened. She sat near the fire again, clutching his old blanket. After a long silence, she spoke again. "My name is Lyra." "Elias," he replied. "Human, mechanic, coffee addict." She tilted her head, unsure if that last part was a title or a confession. For the first time, she gave a faint smile. Small, nervous, but real. Outside, the sky thundered again. The sound wasn't natural. The air itself seemed to vibrate. Lyra flinched, her hands trembling as she whispered something in a language Elias didn't know. "What's happening?" he asked. "They've entered the lower atmosphere," she said softly. "They're using scanners to track my energy signature. If I don't hide it soon—" She stopped, clutching her chest. Her veins began to glow faintly under her skin. Elias grabbed his old thermal blanket and covered her. The light dimmed slightly. "I can mask you with heat signatures," he said quickly. "Metal walls block most scanners." Her eyes widened. "You understand that?" "I fix satellites for fun," Elias said with a shrug. "I guess some of your pursuers use the same tech." For a moment, Lyra stared at him as if trying to decide whether he was brave or just foolish. Then she said quietly, "Your kind learns fast. That's why they fear you." Before he could ask what she meant, a loud blast echoed across the mountains. The cabin shook. The lights flickered. Elias grabbed his rifle out of instinct. Through the window, they saw a bright sphere descending, silent at first, then roaring with energy. It wasn't crashing. It was landing. "They found us," Lyra whispered. Her eyes glowed again, this time brighter. "Elias, you must run." "I'm not leaving you," he said firmly. Her glow intensified, the room filled with faint silver light. "If I reveal my form, will you still stay?" Elias looked straight at her. Fear trembled in his chest, but something deeper, something human, kept him still. He nodded slowly. "I'll stay." The world outside shook again. The roof groaned under the blast of wind. The fire died out. Then, with a sound like glass breaking, Lyra's disguise began to melt away, her skin turning to light, her hair floating as if underwater. Her real form, hidden for centuries, began to appear. Elias could only stare, not in fear, but in awe. And outside, under the growing sunrise, the hunters of the stars descended upon Earth. The cabin was filled with light, pure, silver light that shimmered like water. Elias stepped back, shielding his eyes, but he couldn't look away. Lyra stood in the center of the room, no longer human. Her body was made of glowing threads, her skin like glass filled with galaxies. Her eyes held entire constellations, shifting and bright. The air around her vibrated softly, singing with a hum that felt alive. Elias's breath caught in his chest. She was beautiful, not in a way humans understood, but in a way that felt ancient, like standing before the birth of stars. Lyra looked at him, her face calm but sad. "This is my truth," she said softly. "Now you know what I am." Elias didn't move. The fire had died, the cabin bathed only in her glow. "You're light," he whispered. She smiled faintly. "Not light. Life. I'm an Aurelian, a being born from the heart of suns. My kind travel through stars, not space." Elias stared, trying to understand. "Then why are you here? Why Earth?" Her wings, if they could be called that, moved gently, sending ripples of light across the walls. "I disobeyed my empire. They ordered me to destroy your planet's satellite signals. They said humans are spreading too much curiosity, too much hope." Elias frowned. "Hope is dangerous?" "To them, yes," she said quietly. "Hope wakes sleeping worlds, and a sleeping world is easier to rule." Outside, thunder rolled again, this time sharper. A ship was descending nearby. Elias could see flashes of red light through the cracks of the cabin wall. Lyra closed her eyes. "They've found me." Her glow dimmed, her form trembling. Elias stepped forward, reaching for her shoulder. "Then we run. There's a cave in the East Ridge. No one will find us there." Lyra opened her eyes. "You would still help me after this?" He met her gaze. "You trusted me with your truth. I won't run from it." Her lips parted slightly like she wanted to say something more, but the sound of heavy boots on snow stopped her. Elias peeked through the window. Figures in dark armor moved between the trees, their helmets glowing red. They carried strange weapons, long, slender rods pulsing with blue energy. "Stay behind me," he whispered, though he knew his rifle meant nothing against them. The door exploded inward before he could blink. The shockwave threw him across the room. He coughed, dazed, as 3 armored beings entered. Their helmets reflected Lyra's glow like mirrors. "Target located," one said in a mechanical voice. "Energy reading confirmed. Aurelian traitor." Lyra raised her hand and the air shimmered. The intruder's weapons crackled, then shorted out, sparks flying. The being staggered back, disoriented. Elias watched as she floated a few inches off the ground, her form expanding, her wings stretching wide, like a storm made of light and song. The cabin's walls shook, glass shattered, and the air grew hot. "Leave this world," she said, her voice echoing with 1,000 tones. "It is not yours to burn." One soldier fired, a bolt of energy that hit her chest. She didn't fall. Instead, her light flared so bright it turned the night outside today. The blast threw the attackers back into the snow. Elias crawled to her side. Her glow flickered. "Lyra!" She turned to him, smiling weakly. "You shouldn't have stayed." "I told you," he said, helping her stand. "I don't break promises." She looked at him for a long moment, her eyes full of emotion he couldn't name. Then she whispered, "Then I will trust you with my heart. The first time an Aurelian has ever done so with a human." Her hand touched his chest. For a brief second, Elias saw visions, stars dying, empires falling, and a single human voice echoing through it all. Outside, the ships regrouped, preparing to strike again. But Elias was no longer just a man. Something inside him began to glow. Faint, silver, alive. And for the first time in history, a human carried the light of a star within. Snow covered the valley like a blanket of cold light. Smoke rose from the wreckage of the old cabin, glowing faintly in the pale dawn. Elias stood among the ruins, his jacket torn, his breath heavy. Beside him, Lyra's glow had dimmed, not gone but quieter, as if she was hiding her own light. The Aurelian soldiers were gone, but not defeated. Their ships had lifted, circling above the clouds like hunting hawks. Elias knew they would return. "We can't stay here," he said, tightening his gloves. Lyra nodded weakly. "They will scan again soon. Their ships never stop searching once they mark a world. Then we move fast, he said. East Ridge has caves. The rocks there can block signal waves. She looked at him with something between fear and admiration. You understand their technology better than many of them, Elias smirked faintly. I used to fix satellites for a company that didn't care about people, only data. I guess I'm used to running from eyes in the sky. They left the ruins and stepped into the forest. Snow cracked under their boots. Above them, red lights drifted like angry stars. The wind carried the hum of engines, went far, but not far enough. Hours passed. The forest grew denser, darker. Lyra moved slowly, her energy fading. Every time her body flickered, Elias would steady her by the arm. Each time she whispered an apology. You're not a burden, he told her once. You're a guest. A guest that brings war, she murmured. They reached the mouth of a cave as evening fell. Elias lit a small fire with dry wood. The walls glittered faintly with frost. Lyra sat close to the flames, her skin reflecting orange light. He handed her a metal cup filled with melted snow. She held it gently, her fingers glowing through the metal. Your kindness. It confuses me, she said quietly. Why? My kind believes mercy is weakness. Empires are built on fear, not kindness. That's how we survived the void. Elias leaned back against the wall. Then maybe it's time someone taught your empire they're wrong. Her eyes lifted to his, soft, uncertain. You talk as if you could face them. He smiled. I've faced people who think they own everything. Your empire won't scare me more than they did. Outside, thunder rolled again. Lyra stiffened. They're close. Elias doused the fire and grabbed his small tool bag. We'll block the cave mouth with this, he said, placing reflective sheets and metal scraps. It'll confuse their scanners. As they worked, Lyra watched him closely. His hands moved fast, confident. For a human, he was calm in danger, almost too calm. When he noticed her staring, he chuckled. What I can't glow, but I can build. A small smile curved her lips. You glow differently, she said softly. Before he could reply, a red beam swept across the forest outside. The hum grew louder. Lyra grabbed his arm. They found the trail. They'll burn the forest next, Elias thought fast. Then we make them look somewhere else. He pulled out a flare gun, aimed high through the cave opening, and fired. The flare burst in the sky, bright white, blinding. The ships above turned toward it, scanning the opposite slope. Lyra stared in surprise. You tricked them. Just a small decoy, he said with a grin. Now we move deeper. They climbed down the narrow passage until the firelight was gone. The cave widened into an ancient cavern, glowing faintly with blue crystals. Lyra's eyes widened. This place, it's older than your species. Elias looked around. Then it's the perfect hiding spot. For the first time since she crashed, Lyra smiled without fear. You really mean to protect me, don't you? I made a promise, he said simply. A faint hum echoed from his chest, the silver spark she had given him still pulsing beneath his skin. Lyra stared at it, awe softening her face. Our bond. It's growing. Bond? Elias asked. She placed her glowing hand over his heart. The light you carry, it connects us now. If one of us falls, the other feels it. Elias met her gaze. Then I guess we survive together. Outside, far above the mountains, the Aurelian fleet darkened the skies of Earth, and deep within the frozen caves, a human and a fallen star prepared to fight an empire, together. The cave had become their hidden world. For 3 days, Elias and Lyra stayed underground while the skies above burned with light from alien patrols. Every few hours, thunder would shake the mountains, echoing like drums of war. Elias worked silently, surrounded by cables, old transmitters, and broken satellite parts he had collected over the years. Sparks flickered as he joined 2 wires. Lyra watched him with quiet awe. Humans, she thought, were creatures of dust and metal. Yet somehow they made miracles from both. What are you building? She asked softly. Something stupid, he said, tightening a screw. A beacon. If I can link your signal tech to this old relay tower in the ridge, maybe we can talk back to them. Her expression changed from wonder to alarm. No, Elias, if you send a signal, they'll find you instantly. They already know I exist, he replied, not looking up. But they don't know what humans can say. Lyra frowned. You think words can stop an empire? He glanced at her. Maybe not. But the right ones can start a storm. Lyra didn't understand, not fully. yet something in his tone made her fall silent. She helped him gather energy crystals from the cavern walls, her light blending with his electric sparks. Together they built something neither human nor Aurelian, a machine powered by both science and trust. When the beacon was ready, it hummed softly, pulsing with silver light. Elias wiped his hands and said, "You said your people communicate through light waves, right? Songs of stars?" She nodded slowly. "Each message carries emotion inside frequency patterns. Only an Aurelian can form them." "Then teach me," he said. Lyra hesitated. "Your body can't produce such tones. Your voice will fracture. Doesn't matter. I just need to try." She looked at him for a long moment, then sighed. "You're impossible." "Human," he corrected with a small smile. So she began teaching him, not words, but harmonies. Vibrations of meaning that flowed like rivers through air. Elias listened, trying to mimic the tones. His first attempts were rough, broken, and wrong, but slowly his voice found rhythm. Together their sounds filled the cave, her light and his voice merging into one stream of living color. When the transmission device glowed, Lyra's chest tightened. "They will hear this across systems. They will know what we did." Elias stood before the console. "Good. Let's make sure they remember it." He pressed the final switch. The cave walls lit up as the signal burst into the sky, piercing clouds reaching beyond Earth's orbit. Lyra stepped forward, her glow joining the beam. Together they spoke, her voice in light, his in sound. "If I reveal my true form," her voice sang across the cosmos, "will you still stay?" And then came his answer, carried on human static, raw and unrefined, yet strong enough to echo in every Aurelian channel. "We stay. Because love is not about form, it's about choice." The transmission tore through the void like lightning. On distant ships orbiting nearby worlds, Aurelian soldiers froze. On command bridges, admirals stared at their screens in silence. Across the Empire, the forbidden sound, a human voice, spread faster than their protocols could erase it. Lyra turned to Elias, tears of light in her eyes. "You just challenged the Aurelian creed." He shrugged, trying to smile, though his voice trembled. "Guess it was about time someone did." Outside, the stars shimmered strangely, as if answering the call. Lyra felt a shift in the cosmic field. Small, but real. A resonance she hadn't felt in centuries. Somewhere, Aurelians were singing back. Not in hatred, but in confusion. And hope. "They're listening," she whispered. Elias looked up through the narrow crack of the cave roof. "Good. Then let them hear us again." He placed his hand over his heart where her light still pulsed inside him. "Let them know. A human stayed." For the first time in Aurelian history, emotion defeated silence. And in that echo of mixed light and voice, the universe learned something new. That even the smallest human heart could change the tone of the stars. Dawn crept slowly over the mountains. For a few heartbeats the world was quiet. No engines, no thunder, only wind whispering through the snow. But Elias knew it was the kind of silence that comes before something big. He stood at the mouth of the cave, watching the horizon burn orange. Behind him, Lyra rested against the rock wall, her glow faint but steady. The signal they had sent had already spread beyond imagination. Now the answer was coming. High above the clouds, the Aurelian fleet gathered, dark shapes glowing red, their wings of metal blotting out the rising sun. Thousands of ships hung like storm clouds waiting to fall. Lyra stepped beside him, her voice calm but hollow. "They are here." Elias nodded. "Then it's time." He opened his old satchel, pulling out a device made from scavenged circuits and Aurelian tech. The beacon they'd built had evolved overnight. Now it pulsed with both human electricity and starlight. Lyra's silver eyes softened. "You shouldn't stand against them, Elias. You are one human. They command suns." He smirked faintly. "Maybe, but suns don't know what stubborn means." She almost laughed. A sad, beautiful sound. "You really believe you can stop them?" He met her gaze. "No, but I believe they can be made to see." A deep hum filled the air. The snow shook as a colossal ship descended. So vast it made mountains look small. Its hull shimmered like black glass, its symbol, a golden circle, glowing at its core. "That's the Imperator's vessel," Lyra whispered. "They sent the highest command." A voice echoed through the air, cold and distant. Lyra of the Aurelian, you stand accused of treason. Surrender the human. Return your light to the source. Elias stepped forward before she could answer. You talk big for someone hiding in the sky. Why don't you come down and say that here? For a moment there was silence. Then beams of light struck the ground, forming a platform of glowing glass. From it descended 3 Aurelian commanders, beings of light and metal, faces hidden behind silver masks. One of them raised a hand. Human, you carry what is not yours. Give her heart light back and we may spare your planet. Elias clenched his fists. You'll have to take it. Lyra's glow brightened. No, she cried. You cannot fight them. But the lead commander fired first. A beam of raw plasma cutting through air. Elias dove aside as the blast scorched the snow. The second blast came faster. But Lyra stepped in front of him, spreading her wings. The light struck her and split apart, scattering into harmless sparks. Her voice thundered, layered with echoes. Enough! The ground trembled. Her true form erupted. Wings of crystal fire stretching across the valley, her light reaching the sky. The Aurelian soldiers staggered, blinded. Elias stood behind her, shielding his eyes. He had never seen anything so powerful or so alive. Lyra raised both hands, her glow merging with the rising sun. You call yourselves bringers of order, but you bring fear. You silence those who love, those who dream. If my heart light must burn out to free them, let it burn. Her final words rippled through the air like thunder. Above, thousands of ships faltered, their engines dimming. Across the Aurelian network, her voice and Elias's earlier message combined. Emotion and defiance fusing into something new. Elias felt the pulse inside his chest grow stronger. Her energy, her light. Without thinking, he placed his hand over his heart and shouted into the wind. You said love is forbidden. Then let this be our rebellion. The light from both of them collided, human spark and Aurelian flame, rising together into the sky. The great ship cracked under the wave of energy. Clouds broke open, releasing blinding light that spread for miles. When the brilliance faded, the fleet hung still. Not a single shot was fired again. Lyra fell to her knees, her light dimming, exhaustion trembling through her body. Elias caught her before she hit the ground. It worked, he whispered. She smiled faintly, eyes glowing soft silver. You changed them, Elias, you changed the stars. Above them, the red lights of war turned golden, and as the first full sun rose over the valley, Earth stood under a new sky, one no longer ruled by fear, but awakened by a human's choice to stay. The world was quiet again. Not the heavy silence of fear, but the stillness that follows after a storm ends. Smoke from the burned snowfields curled into the pale sky. The Aurelian fleet hovered far above, their ships dim, their weapons cold. For the first time in 1,000 years, they waited without orders. Elias knelt in the melting snow, holding Lyra in his arms. Her light had faded to a soft glow like moonlight seen through water. Her body was weak, almost transparent. Yet her eyes, those silver stars, were open and alive. You did it, he whispered, brushing frost from her cheek. They stopped fighting. Lyra smiled faintly. No, Elias, we did it. Behind them, the broken valley shimmered. The air carried strange warmth now, as if sunlight and starlight had mixed into one new kind of light. Above, the sky flickered. A massive holographic face appeared. The Imperator himself, the ruler of the Aurelian Empire. His features were carved from gold and light, proud and ancient. His voice echoed across continents. Lyra of the Aurelian, you have broken the law of forms. You revealed your true self to a mortal. You bonded with one. Lyra didn't look away. I revealed truth, not rebellion. And you, human, the Imperator continued, turning his gaze toward Elias. You speak of choice, yet you do not understand what it costs to bear eternity. Elias stood, keeping Lyra steady beside him. His voice was calm but firm. Maybe I don't understand eternity, but I understand something your empire forgot. Empathy. The Imperator stared silently for a long moment. Then his tone softened. Your message has reached even our outer colonies. Entire fleets have gone silent. Soldiers have laid down arms. Your defiance has infected my people. Lyra's light brightened faintly. Not defiance, hope. The Imperator hesitated. For a being who had ruled stars, the word seemed strange on his tongue. Finally he spoke again, quieter now. Then let hope live, Aurelian exile. But know this. Your bond to the human will change both species forever. Whatever grows from this day will no longer belong to gods or mortals, but to both." And with that the projection faded. One by one the ships turned, vanishing into the golden sunrise. Elias stood still, the weight of what just happened settling over him. He looked at Lyra, who swayed on her feet. Her glow dimmed again, her energy almost spent. "You're fading," he said softly. She nodded. "My light can't last here without the source. I was born in the heart of a star. This planet's sky is too heavy for me." He clenched his fists. "Then I'll build something, a chamber, a generator, anything." "I won't let you disappear." Lyra smiled, tired but proud. "Always building. Always fixing." She lifted her hand and touched his chest where her light still pulsed inside him. "Part of me already lives in you. You'll never lose me." Elias swallowed hard. "That's not enough." Her voice softened like wind through leaves. "It will have to be. When your kind looks up at the stars again, remember, they are not watching to conquer. They are listening to your voice." He caught her as her body began to dissolve into silver dust. The air shimmered. Her form broke into thousands of glowing fragments, swirling around him like fireflies. Her last whisper brushed against his ear. "You stayed." Then she was gone, scattered light returning to the dawn. Elias fell to his knees, his heart pounding with grief and awe. But as the first sunlight touched the valley, his chest glowed softly. Inside her spark remained, alive, warm, and steady. He looked up to the bright sky and smiled faintly. "Yeah," he said, "and I'll keep staying." Years later, the rebuilt observatory stood where the cabin once had been. Humans called it the Lyra Dome, the place where a human voice changed the stars. Children learned the story of the alien who asked for truth and the man who answered with love. And every dawn, when sunlight mixed with starlight above that valley, a faint whisper could still be heard in the wind. "If I reveal my true form, will you stay?" "Always."